Unless you've been living under a rock, it's no secret that inflation is high, and the most common complaint you'll hear is that the cost of essentials have gone up. I am no economist, but at the same rate I see food increasing in price, it seems to have a domino effect on vehicles as well, especially fun vehicles. By the way, this doesn't seem to include bikes, so check out my other video on why you should consider purchasing a motorcycle. Anyway, back to the food and the car thing. Is it a coincidence? Probably not. I'm sure there's no real connection between the price of Wagyu beef and metal on wheels, but I'm equally mad about it. So on the topic of fun cars, I believe it's only uphill from here because the used car market is slowing down. Fun cars manufactured from 2010 to 2018 in particular are depreciating and will continue over the coming years until they hit their magic number and hold on to their price from there onward. And it opens up doors for the new wave of car enthusiasts to buy fun, affordable modern cars, because most older sports cars are now completely out of reach. In no particular order, I've compiled a list of 3 fun cars which I personally have watched depreciate prior to 2020, and I believe only now they are starting to come down once again as the global impacts of lockdowns subside. Keep in mind that all these vehicle models stock were built with above average handling in mind, so assume that they will handle very well, and it's not required to introduce handling upgrades off the bat like you would with an old Honda Civic, for example. Before we get into the list, it would help the channel heaps if you liked the video, left a comment, and subscribed if you want to see more content. Thank you. Starting our list, we have a brand which rarely gets much love because they are normally producing boring mobiles, but this one was well received. It's the Kia Stinger GT. This isn't really a vehicle that I can say I see often within the car scene because most of its owners are boring non-car people. But when I do see one that has actually been modified for performance, I do get excited because these deserve more credit than they are given. Allegedly, the Stinger hit record sales in Australia, however, performed extremely poorly for the rest of the world. But that just means that if you live in Australia, there is an abundance of used examples to choose from, and they are coming down in price, allegedly. So why is a Kia on this list? Because it ticks a lot of the boxes that you'd want in a sports car. It's a 4-door sedan with a 3.3 litre twin turbo V6, making around 365 horsepower from factory on its rear wheel drive setup. Kia claims it can reach 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in around 5 seconds, which is pretty damn good if it's true. Most reviews state that the interior feels extremely close to what you'd expect in, say, a BMW Series 3, so that's just telling me that Kia really stepped up their game on this one. With all the positives in mind, there is one major downside. That is, it only comes in automatic. So if you only want stick, then it's probably going to be a hard pass. Currently, used models between 2017 to 2018 can be found for around 30 to 40,000 with around 100,000 to 140,000 kilometers on the clock. I would say that in 2 years, I'd predict these models to be as low as $20,000 with up to 230,000 kilometers on the clock. Obviously, higher kilometers is never ideal. However, it's a Kia at the end of the day, and it's normally very reliable. Plus, there are so many of these cars that there is an abundance of parts. Now, to throw a spanner in the works, the Stinger has actually been discontinued in Australia. So like some cars that get discontinued, there is a chance they may hold their value rather than drop further. But the luxury is this is a prediction, so I'm going to talk out of my ass and it's fine. So let's move on to the next one. Up next, I'd say that this is one of the most common sporty cars that you will find in almost every country which sells them. That's the Toyota 86, Subaru BRZ, or Scion FRS, whichever you have in your country, it's all the same. Clearly, this does not need any introduction, but if you are unsure what this car is, just head down to your local car meet next time and you will see plenty of them. This is a car that could well be the most modified vehicle in the world due to how popular they are. That's not a fact, but an assumption because they are literally everywhere. These 2-door rear-wheel drive coupes, or coupe, whatever you'd like to call it, run a 2-litre boxer engine from Subaru, making 200 horsepower. Now this will take you 0 to 100 in around 8 seconds. Now, straight line speed is clearly not the appeal, but what it lacks in acceleration, it makes up in handling. It's mentioned time and time again by many enthusiasts that these are perfect driver's cars, however, they just lack the power. Lucky, there are plenty of mods and parts floating around, so you'll never struggle finding what you need. With stage 2 mods and a tune, you can probably get around 230 horsepower out of this NA setup. However, allegedly, if boosted, the stock engine can handle up to 300 horsepower before you start having problems with fuel delivery and needing to upgrade parts. With quick research, it's very clear that these platforms boosted transform them entirely, so it's worth to look at your options and your budget. Either way, this is usually a great pick for anyone because they come in auto or manual and they have plenty of modding capability, but if kept stock, they're still fantastic if you just want to have fun around the mountains or go to your social track day. Years between 2012 to 2013 can be found for roughly $15,000 to $20,000 with around 120 to 180,000 kilometers on the clock. These prices should very well continue to drop because of how abundant they are. Plus, these models are still being sold in high volumes all around the world with no sign of them stopping new models soon. In 2 years, I'd predict these models to be as low as $10,000 with up to 200,000 kilometers on the clock. Now, keeping in mind, I personally haven't owned a Subaru, but I know people who have, especially the 86 BRZ or FRS, whatever you want to call it in your country, and they do sometimes come with issues. So I would be extremely mindful if you plan on boosting because you don't want to buy something with low compression. Either way, if you think this car is too slow for you, then maybe you're looking for something with a few extra ponies. You'll get that stupid joke in a moment. It was terrible, I'm sorry. This is going to hurt some feelings because most people won't even consider this a real car. But it's a real car and it's actually a very good option, so it's on this list. It is the Ford Mustang EcoBoost. Yes, you will need to really buy into the whole 4-cylinder Mustang thing, and I can guarantee you will not make any Mustang friends, but really, f them. Because it handles like a Mustang, just minus the V8. This so-called fake Mustang is a 2-door rear-wheel drive coupe that houses a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder turbo, which makes about 310 horsepower. It will take you from 0 to 100 kilometers in around 6 seconds, and it looks identical to the more expensive V8 GT model. But you don't buy this to pretend like you have a Mustang GT. The Ford Mustang EcoBoost is already a great platform, stock, offering either automatic or manual, and for those who want a convertible experience, then that's also a thing. If you really want more from this Mustang, it wouldn't hurt to add some bolt-ons, a tune, and some suspension tweaks to really make the most of it. Allegedly, the EcoBoost can easily achieve up to 400 horsepower with stage 2 mods, and doesn't sound all that bad with an aftermarket exhaust. Models between 2015 to 2017 are currently selling for about 30 to 35K, with around 100 to 210,000 kilometers on the clock. Out of the entire list, these cars have the highest kilometers for some reason, but I'm not exactly sure why. Now, once again, as said for the previous model, these prices should very well continue to drop, and that's because of how abundant they are. New models are still being sold in high volumes, and most people are buying the EcoBoost because it's more fuel efficient and cheaper than the V8 model. I'm just basing it off what I've read, and it seems like the general consensus is people are just tight on cash at the moment, so they're looking at more fuel efficient ways to own a Mustang. In about 2 years, I'd predict that these would be worth roughly as low as $20,000 with kilometers up to 250,000 on the clock. So that is it for my 3 vehicles of the 2010s that I think will be cheap soon. Now keep in mind, cheap does not always mean cars under 5K or cars under 10K, because you can't really buy anything good under that price range. So these are cheap for the power or performance that they offer. That is all for this video, and there are plenty more vehicles that I had in mind, so if you do want to see another list, let me know in the comments. But I do want to note that before leading into the year 2020, I did notice that these models were dropping, which could have been the result of the economy at the time. However, over the next 2 years, I do hope that these vehicle prices do start to come down, because they are awesome platforms, but they have the trajectory of depreciation because there is just so many of them. It only makes sense. But not only that, the used car market is also coming down, which is great news if you're looking to buy, but not so great if you're looking to sell. So in reality, there's no true way to know other than just wait. So do take your time with your purchase if you are looking for a vehicle, and don't take this video as advice. Do your own research, because I did not dive that much into the issues that come with these cars too. Once again, please support the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.